Hey guys, welcome back to Two Dudes Talking. Today we figured we'd get a little comfy with y'all, talking about our guilty pleasures movies, so stick around.
Is he feeling guilty?
Never.
Never, mate.
Never, ever, mate. Never guilty for nothing.
So guilty pleasure movies.
In general, so...
Let's define this for the people.
For the people. Okay, people, envision me, this man, on a different couch.
In all of his manliness.
In all of my comfiness. I've got my... So right now, I was talking about this before we were shooting this. I meant to bring in my my Avengers jams. Like my comfy pants.
Oh, the shoe comes off, folks. It's over.
We're comfy. I don't feel guilty about it either. So these are like the movie. These are my go-to movies that it doesn't matter whether I'm in a great mood or if I'm bummed out, sad, angry. Like these are things that I can go make that popcorn that I'm not concerned about how anybody's watching it because I'm on my couch and I'm going to make a mess. It's like, just in my zen.
So me and Josh were talking about this earlier. I eat popcorn like I haven't eaten in 3 weeks.
Every time.
Every time. I'm disgusting. Like I could eat a full steak dinner.
That's what you feel guilty about. Yeah. Not the amount of popcorn. It's the amount of popcorn that's on.
I can't eat it like a normal person and have 2 or 3 pieces in your hand and just be like, no, I have to eat it by the damn hand. And I have to eat it so fat because I don't know. It's just like I'm a freaking Wolverine in there or something.
Yeah, little honey badger. little honey badger.
Yeah. So, anyways.
So in that zone, like these are my. that's where we're at. That's the movies we're talking about.
The movies you watch that you can't be shamed for watching.
Yeah.
Or that people try to, but you're just like, nope. These are my guilty pleasure movies.
Mm-hmm.
So what are a few of yours?
Beastmaster.
Oh yeah.
For real, Beastmaster. Yeah. It's old. It is so old. And
see when you and Wade talk about Beastmaster, like people know what the hell that is.
So yeah, that's what we're gonna go into. You guys are gonna learn some stuff. These may be unheard of things. Some of them probably won't. Like I don't care if you think I'm a nerd because I have 2 Harry Potter tattoos. I could care less. Like I feel no shame, no guilt, no guilt. But there's things that like. They're not good.
Right.
Like Beastmaster is dated, yes. Yeah. But it's not that good. There's a lot of plot holes. It doesn't matter because I get a kick out of it.
They killed a dog making this movie.
They for real shot a dog with an arrow, and it was a pretty dog too.
Yeah, like a German Shepherd.
It was a white Shepherd.
Bastards.
Yeah. Milo and Otis, they killed all kind of animals making that movie.
It's funny.
But I'll still watch it.
It's not funny, but it's interesting how the regulations have come so far.
Yeah. They've changed
like, yeah, you probably shouldn't kill an animal while making this movie.
Somebody may not like that.
It's like I always wondered, like that scene in Braveheart when they stampede the Battle of Stirling. And it's like, yo, how did they stab those horses and not kill a horse?
Right.
Because it looks so real.
I think a horse or 2 might have died.
Sorry, horse people.
And sorry, horse people. Neat horse fact: Django was the most choreographed and rehearsed the biggest number of horses was the dentist explosion scene.
That's
right after the Klan situation.
Big as far as like number of horses.
Yeah, had the most horses on screen. That I think one horse was actually injured, and during that didn't break anything, which would have resulted in the end of a life.
Oh yeah,
but.
So the record is for how many horses, or how many horses without an injury?
How many horses?
Oh, okay. God, I could have swore Lord of the Rings.
I would have thought something like that, or
even Braveheart.
Yeah.
300 heavy horsemen.
Yep. Nope. Django. Yeah. So guilty pleasure movies for me. Let's see. There's a couple, and they're all funny. I have a couple of chick flicks that I really like.
Okay.
So these are kind of things that are just out of the norm for a regular old dude. Hot Chick with Rob Schneider.
Oh, amazing.
It's a weird one. I mean, it's funny. It's amazing. It is amazing. But there's just these things that you wouldn't expect. Like if you look at me, be like, okay, that dude's not going home to watch Hot Chick right now. Maybe.
I mean,
maybe I would. I don't know.
this guy watches Hot Chick.
I do, and I love it, and I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
So don't judge me for
I'm
it.
not judging.
A lot of the old Stephen King movies are really, really bad. I was talking with with Aaron about this the other day.
Right.
A lot of
Aaron,
always
the diehard, the loyal.
the best.
The best.
She has started doing this thing from our show, and this is, I want to go ahead and call this out. This is great. She started this thing where every Friday she'll take something that we've mentioned in that week, and that'll be her thing. This past week she was talking with me while she watched the Stand by Stephen King,
right?
Like the 1990 Stand, and this is like a 6-hour project. And she was just getting so emotionally invested in this horribly under budgeted movie, and it's great, and that's why, again, we have our guilty pleasures. A lot of people would love that story, but they'd be like, "No, this is garbage.
Just
terrible."
Hoyts.
So let's see. The Sweetest Thing with Cameron Diaz, Christina Applegate, the guy from The Mist is the main. Is the main attraction in this.
The main attraction.
Of the women in this one.
Right.
It's I don't know. It's been ages. But
I forgot all about that movie.
I think.
As soon as you said, I was like,
Bing. Oh, that's a funny movie.
Yeah.
Cameron Diaz was either engaged or about to be married. And her and Christina Applegate set off across the country after this guy that got away, and end up meeting another one, the dude from The Mist.
Right.
But their series of misadventures, I laughed out loud so hard. There was a scene with Christina Applegate in this church, and she's just talking so much shit to this little boy behind her in the pew, and she's like, "You turn around, you mother." And I'm like, "Oh my God!" I was crying. So I'm with my sister, and she's 7 years older. So I was like 13 or 14. In this movie, she had one or two of her girlfriends. I think it was Tiffany.
Right.
Was over, and they were watching this, and I was just crying. So
Tiffany,
I've seen it probably 5, 6, 7 times. It's a great one. Like, it's something that, if it's on, I'm not going to turn it because it's that funny to me.
Okay. So it's rewatchably funny.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not a typical dude movie. I mean, there are, like, about time. There are romances that are absolutely geared towards men as well. But this one is not one of them.
Right.
But it was funny.
Gotcha.
Very, very funny.
Okay.
A lot of people did not appreciate Reign Over Me with Adam Sandler. That was one of the first ones of his that I saw that wasn't a comedy. And it's not one that I'll watch every day, but I love that feel good moment when him and Don Cheadle finally come out of that situation. It's such a heartwarming thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of obscure.
That's a really good. I wouldn't say that's a guilty pleasure movie.
Yeah. Is it a big? I didn't know.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Word.
Like, that's a solid movie. It's not that known.
Right.
But the acting is awesome.
It is.
The where he breaks it down for her parents at the end. He's like, "Yo, I walk around and I see another dog. I see that damn dog."
Yeah.
He's like, "You got each other."
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
It's so that's a good one. That's a recommendable one, if nothing else. So give us one of your guilty pleasures.
So definitely
Fido.
No. That's an awful movie. It's awful. The Fast and the Furious franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Love them.
Yep.
But so they're all guilty pleasures
Me too.
Except for the first one, because the first one's a good movie. I've said that before on this thing. I really like the cast of them, even though the movies are just ridiculous.
Right.
But they're fun. You know,
enjoyable.
Yeah, they're enjoyable. There's like they all have little moments, that are kind of cool. But I love, like, Vin Diesel's dope. Paul Walker, R.I.P. Jordana Brewster, It's amazing. God, I used to have such a crush on her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like The Rock that he's gotten and
Yeah.
the later ones. Ludacris, all them folks, you know.
And that, yeah.
It's just, you know, they keep adding people. Like, I
And
actually
making
love
the machines bigger.
Yeah, just, you know, airplanes coming out of, or submarines coming out of glaciers, and stuff like that. Definitely those movies, like Transformers,
Mm-hmm.
those got so ridiculous. And just like, so in the film world, or in the film snob bougie world,
Mm-hmm.
Michael Bay
Bougie.
is a very looked down upon director.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, let's see what we can blow up right now. You know what I mean? But like those movies are amazing as far as technical achievement and stuff like that. But like, you know, Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, they're good.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of guilty pleasure though. You know, it's like whatever. Armageddon.
Armageddon's a great movie, though.
So
It's so cheesy.
It's so unrealistic, but the cast is so amazing.
Yeah.
So there's a thing called Criterion Collection, and it's a group of movies. It's a company that is basically cataloged really fantastic art-driven movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not necessarily best picture winners or this, but like they focus on auteur directors, which are like, they have a certain style. They make all films, like Wes Anderson, Terrence Malick, stuff like that. Even all the way back to 1920s.
Right.
They put films in this collection. And Armageddon is a Michael Bay film, 1997 or 98, somewhere. They made it a Criterion Collection movie.
Well, you know.
And everybody's like, all the film snobs are just like, what? You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And, but yeah, they did.
Ew.
But like, God, like Steve Buscemi alone, dude.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
That's
my guy.
I love Steve Buscemi. He's great. He's great.
Yeah.
Boardwalk Empire.
Oh, yeah.
Solid.
Great show. I like these movies. I don't consider them guilty pleasure movies, but the Ocean's trilogy,
Right.
11, 12, 13, like those are Steven Soderbergh, who is a auteur director. But many people would consider them, you know, guilty pleasure. There's that ensemble cast, you know, you're here just to see a bunch of cool faces.
Yeah.
Thing, you know.
And they're successful. Very,
Oh,
very, very
they
successful.
were successful. Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Successful.
yeah,
I just had a stroke again.
I literally did too, trying to say the same word. Dang. Oh, this place is haunted. So I guess upon analyzation of guilty pleasure, one thing that I just enjoy the heck out of that I know that other people don't is horror stuff.
I have some of those, but yes, very much so.
Like
Cheesy horror movies.
Yeah, all of it. I mean, like the Army of Darkness. I mean, that's a cult classic. It's huge. But I'm talking about stuff like even current stuff like today, like Hereditary and The Witch. I mean, if I don't know what to watch, that's probably what I'm going to look up is a good horror movie. Again, getting under the blanket in my jammies with my popcorn, trying not to throw it.
Right. I think people consider those type of movies guilty pleasure because they only have one purpose, to scare you. But I would say that those that you just mentioned, like Hereditary, The Witch,
those are
they're good
deeper.
movies.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them, but like the people that I know, like yourself and other people that have watched them, are like, "Yo, that's a good actual movie."
There's some great cinematography. There are some very
storytelling in it.
Yes,
versus just like the predictable.
Right, like a guilty pleasure horror movie is Hostel for me.
Yeah, or Saw 7.
Right, which I absolutely will watch the new Saw that's coming out with Chris Rock, by the way. Can't wait.
That actually does look dope.
I mean, but I'll watch it because
isn't it him and Samuel L.?
I don't know. I didn't see Samuel L. Jackson in anything that I've seen.
Guy. But looks dope.
But yeah, so those I'll watch them regardless. But I do love a good horror movie. Yeah. I know you also love anything to do with ghosts. And that's me as well.
No. But some horror movies are on my guilty pleasure list.
Yeah. Such as?
I love, like, I'll watch any Halloween movie.
Yeah.
Any of those.
Yep.
And some
what
of them
about
are
the,
really good and some
have
of
you
them are
seen
not.
any of the Rob Zombie remakes?
I actually haven't seen
Those are dope.
his latest one, yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't seen those. What did he make? Did he make Wrong Turn?
No, he did House of a Thousand Corpses. He did oh gosh, it's the family of crazies.
Right. I've seen that one. What is it? It's not Wrong Turn.
No, it's not Wrong
But
Turn.
it's something.
We'll get there. I'm
it's
gonna
like
look this
The
up
Hill-
right now. Not The Hills Have Eyes. Those are all Wes Craven remakes.
Okay.
Let me see.
See, I am obviously not a purveyor of the horror genre.
Rob Zombie, singer-songwriter, and his movies.
I'll tell you who does love Rob Zombie while you're looking that up is my boy Chris Hill. Shout out Chris Hill.
Devil's Rejects.
That's it. Yeah.
Devil's Rejects.
That dude loves horror movies in general,
Mm-hmm.
but he does love some Rob Zombie and the Halloween series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like movies like Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
That movie came out like Paranormal Activity, where you're like, oh shit, this is real.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the perception of it being real.
Right.
Because of the style it was filmed on, which is a great marketing strategy.
Percentage-wise, I think that's one of the highest earning movies of all time.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it took something like, I think it cost them something like $16,000 to make that movie.
Easy.
Virtually.
Yeah.
Under 20. It was under 20 grand.
Yeah.
And they just made millions and
Yeah.
millions and millions.
And it's a cult classic movie. Yeah. I mean,
Forever.
people are probably still buying that DVD.
Yeah, probably. My sister's was dating.
Your sister's buying it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, my sister's boyfriend at the time is also like they are now back together after like 20 years. It's crazy.
Tater.
Oh, Tato, blue Tato. Tater tot. He took her to see that movie, and then that night after she went to sleep, he went and had this big house, like this porch that went out over this lake.
Yeah.
Like hung up all the little wicker things that were hanging up in the woods in that movie.
Right.
My sister almost had a panic. I mean, she
Of
almost
course.
died. It was scary.
Absolutely.
So let's see.
Like I wouldn't be afraid of it like that night, but if you did that to me like 3 months later, randomly after I forgot about it, I would freak out.
Losing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the spooky stuff, I love it.
There's a lot of guilty pleasure stuff in there.
Yeah, a lot of guilty pleasure stuff in there. But the Harry Potter series, like I could care less if it wasn't.
That's not guilty pleasure.
I mean, it's maybe a personal over-fixation.
So to me, for guilty pleasure is part of that defining
Has to be
thing.
not good or something.
Well, it's like I guess it's a variable, but it's like most people would say they like Harry Potter.
Yeah, most.
Like a lot, like those movies are on the top like 30, 40 grossing of all time.
Right. Okay. So
Which doesn't make it a good movie necessarily, but it's like
too big.
well received.
Too big to be ignored.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, dude.
But I mean, like, but Fast and the Furious, they make money all the time. So
Right. But they're also notorious for being
Just
crazy.
not good.
So the Hostel series or the Saw movies, that'd be
Yeah.
a much better or closer
Yeah.
thing for me.
Some of these Netflix movies, like some of these Adam Sandler Netflix movies, like
Ridiculous Six?
yeah, like those movies are guilty pleasure to me.
Oh, well, then that's one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah.
That's a funny movie.
That's a great movie. Yeah, I don't know. It's that same vein of like Transformers, Fast and the Furious. Basically, if you're a franchise that's gone past like your third movie,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Captain Marvel, Ant-Man.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, there's a ton of comic book movies that are definitely guilty pleasure.
Not so good.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to be like, you don't like Ant-Man? No, I like Ant-Man, guys. Ant-Man is funny. But it's...
Number 25 out of 25.
Yeah. It was until Captain Marvel came out.
Yeah,
for me.
I think Marvel's better, but we can fight later.
Yeah, let's
In
the parking lot.
Yeah. Meet you out back. Bye.
But
I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, to redefine guilty pleasure, I think it's like you said, you feel comfortable. like watching them. There's no judgment.
Mhm.
You know, you're not even taking the judgment of it. But I think there's like, it's supposed to be like, if you have these high film standards, like whether that's winning Best Picture or it's a great adaptation from a famous book, or, you know, it's just well received and well critiqued, that type of thing, versus like this thing that a lot of people will go watch, but it's like just not good.
Much better example, and I think I finally figured out one of my earliest guilty pleasure movies was the Ewoks Caravan of Courage
Good God.
and Battle for Endor.
Nope.
They're great. They're absolutely great. I watched those movies more than the actual Star Wars series coming up as a kid. I was obsessed with the Ewoks. Like, I loved the Ewoks and everything going on Endor.
So that's what's wrong with you.
Absolutely. If there's something wrong with me, that's probably where it started.
Yeah.
I guess I was into furries before I even knew what it was.
Sheesh.
Willow was another pretty big one. I'm really pumped to see that turn into a TV show, to be totally honest. AMC, I think, is doing it.
They're going to do a show?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, no, those were garbage.
Yeah. I think
And they're so fun.
like one guilty pleasure movie for me would be that I would consider a movie, but I don't like this movie, is like the Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
I don't like Matthew Broderick at all. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I took the day off from going to the movies that day, and I hate that movie. I think he's great in Glory, and that's about it.
I just struck a nerve.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Matthew Broderick struck a nerve with me years ago, and I don't.
What's so wrong with him?
His acting.
Oh my God!
I just don't like him. I think he got famous because of Ferris Bueller, which had nothing to do with him. There was great writing in it, and I don't.
Yeah. See, I'm not a big fan of 80s movies like that at all anyway. But I don't hate Matthew Broderick.
I'm a pretty big fan of 80s movies. Drop Dead Fred, My Boyfriend's Back, the Pretty in Pink, The Breakfast Club.
I do like
all
those two
these
movies.
all these stereotypical movies were so cool. They were fine. What coming up?
So why Matthew Broderick? Like, you just think he's a bad actor?
Terrible actor. I think he is. I don't want to say this.
Say it if you can.
I mean, I can.
Okay, yeah, say it.
I think Matthew Broderick is garbage. I think he's one of the worst actors that I can think of. I mean, maybe it's not even him. I can't think of a movie that I've seen him in where he portrayed a role well.
That's fair. You mean to tell me that you don't appreciate the work of art that Matthew Broderick portrayed in Inspector Gadget? You're going to sit there on this podcast and talk.
How dare I?
How dare you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, well, there you go. Yeah. I couldn't tell you 5 more films he's been in, to be honest.
There were some honestly really good premises. Great stories. Glory is a great movie. I do think Glory is a great movie.
Is that the Civil War?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I could have cared less that he was in it.
Is Jeff Daniels in that, or is that Gettysburg?
That's Gettysburg.
Okay.
But we had to watch Glory in school. I'd already seen it. I do like that movie a lot. I could give 2 rips about Matthew Broderick being in it or not. In all honesty, it almost made me not watch that movie. If I hadn't been exposed to it already, to knowing my soon dislike for that man, maybe I wouldn't have watched it.
Yeah.
But
I was not. Yeah. But yeah, like that Godzilla movie, like you're only watching that movie because you love Godzilla.
Right.
Like that's not a good movie. It's awful. It's not, the cast is probably pretty crappy outside of Matthew Broderick as well. So yeah, that would be my definition of a guilty pleasure.
Alien vs. Predator is another one of mine, I would say.
Yeah.
That's not canon to the Alien or Predator series.
Any Alien after 3.
Resurrection.
Pretty much a guilty pleasure.
Yeah. But there's a couple like that worked. Like again, Alien vs. Predator. I loved it. It was not good, not nearly the graphics. It wasn't nearly the story was garbage.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I'm still dying at you not liking Matthew Broderick. That's just funny. Like,
Sorry.
is there anybody
Sorry,
else?
Matthew.
Is there anybody else that you feel that strongly?
I'm
about?
sure I'll think. They're.
Is it Forrest Whitaker? Your brother doesn't
No,
like
Wade.
him.
Yeah, Wade doesn't like Forrest Whitaker.
I just don't.
No, Matthew Broderick is. I have a particular dislike for that man's acting skills. He may be a great person.
You think it's that one movie that did that?
Ferris Bueller
Yeah.
that's a pretty.
Do you like the movie or no?
No, I hate it.
Okay.
His best friend, dude. There's nothing.
That guy I don't like.
And Ben Stein,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's nothing funny about that movie. I'm sorry if you guys don't.
If I had $1 for every time I've been in a group setting and someone's like Bueller, that's pop culture though.
That movie that stopped being funny before that scene ended. The first time it was played in theaters, and everybody is still doing it right now, and that's
true. Yeah, but that is pop culture. That's what people do.
Sorry, guys.
Bueller. Bueller. Yeah, I probably watched that movie one time in its entirety over like 30 different sittings.
I don't think I've ever seen it all the way through.
Yeah,
I have no inclination to.
God, you kids from the 80s that are just like cringing right now, I'm not sorry.
I'm not either. I don't blame you guys. Y'all were.
But they'll hang on to that movie for dear life.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Dude, Ferris Bueller's best movie ever.
Yeah, no. It's
Like, what are you talking about?
No, it's not.
Back to the Future?
Looks like.
Just like, all right, cool. Like, my bad. You know, those 80s kids, that lost generation, man.
Well, see, they paved the way. I love how we're completely tangenting off on this thing.
That's fine with me, dude.
Yeah, so
Let's get guilty.
yeah, the 80s movies, they had a lot of foundational work that they set for us moving forward.
Sure.
But there were a couple of things that were just unfortunate.
Yeah, but that's the thing about any generation or any decade is like you've got movies that way exceeded all of those in that decade that
Right.
are amazing movies.
Right.
You know, and it's like,
Well, this is something neat too that they brought up in high school when I was watching it. In the I think it was the first episode is when we were talking about Pac-Man. In Japan, they had
in high score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Netflix series, they had, I don't remember what they called them. They were called like game centers or game lounges where men could go and play. And then the dude was like, "Yo, we're gonna make Mrs. Pac-Man."
Yeah.
And brought in. So the 80s, there were new audiences that people were catering to. I mean, they didn't sort it out right. They did not sort it out right, man. You can't tell me that they had like the classic feel good movies in the 70s of high school kids skipping out. Like it wasn't the same. They had Porky's and stuff, which was about misadventures of a kid or a bunch of teenagers and stuff. Like
what's the movie with Dustin Hoffman?
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
No, Dustin Hoffman.
Oh.
The Graduate in the 60s.
Graduate, yeah.
That is the equivalent of Ferris Bueller's Day Off in the 80s.
And
then Porky's and
And what's funny is The Graduate has more comedic value to me than Ferris Bueller's Day Off ever will.
Yeah. And then we got in the 90s with American Pie.
When
where
they
we just
like
screw everything.
Yes. And I mean
And then 2007 hits with Superbad and the world is back to good.
Yep. And Ferris Bueller started that downward spiral.
Thanks, Ferris. Matthew Broderick, if you're watching this.
Matthew you go ahead.
I won't say it.
I'll say
I like you. I think you're a good human being.
I'll say this too. You made a bunch of movies. I didn't, Matthew.
Yeah.
As and that's wonderful. And I think like no joke, there have been a lot of people that have been inspired, I'm sure, by him and by that movie. There are movies like the Superbad and the other things that wouldn't have come without these things before us. But that one blows and I don't understand why it's so big. So everybody loves it so much.
So I remember one. We'll close on this because for these guilty pleasure movies. But I remember one thing about Matthew Broderick.
Mm-hmm. That stupid beret he wore in whatever movie.
So the '90s Atlanta Braves were amazing. They had like the 3 best pitchers of all time. Not of all time. That's such an exaggeration. But like as far as like
sounds about right.
As far as like a pitching core, Like they had John Smoltz,
Yeah.
Tom Glavine, and Greg Maddux.
Right.
And Greg Maddux looks exactly like Matthew Broderick.
Greg Maddux could probably have done a better job in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
So there you go, folks. Let us know in the comments. What I really want to know is, and besides your guilty pleasure movie, is like, who do you hate as an actor? That's who I want to know right now. Who just makes your skin crawl like Matthew Broderick for sure. And then, let us know like what your guilty pleasure movies are for sure. And we'll get Josh calmed down here.
Maybe.
Maybe
by the next episode.
And but we'll catch you next time on Two Dudes Talking.
See you guys.